Thank you, Hilary, and thanks for the opportunity to present today. So we are Team Disinfodex, and we came to the fellowship from a variety of backgrounds, including journalism, communications, technology, policy, and design. So over the past 10 weeks, the question we've been working to address is, how do we help people working in the disinformation space to better access and analyze all of the publicly available information about disinformation that's out there, so that they're fully informed and best equipped to deal with the problem? Next slide. And this is what we've created, the Disinfodex, which is an online database that indexes public disclosures of disinformation campaigns from major online platforms. So currently the database is actually a prototype, but our ultimate goal is to have this be the go-to resource for finding out what's publicly known about, for example, a network or a group, and ultimately the go-to source for analysing disclosures and trends in the disinformation space. It's also worth noting as well that we created a white paper that lays out how and why we built it and how we plan to expand on it. Next slide. But first, I want to talk more about why we created the database. So we initially set out to help journalists better cover disinformation. And from our experience, we knew two things. So first of all, it's been really difficult for newsrooms to pivot to covering disinformation. It's rapidly evolving. It involves a new set of skills, new verification methods, a whole new vocabulary. And secondly, there is a lot of information out there for journalists to navigate. You have academic papers, media reports, platform releases, civil society reports, and so much more. And also the information is scattered and it's quite difficult to navigate. And this isn't a problem just for journalists. It's the same issue for everybody in the field. So we thought about how we could organize the information to make it easier to access, easier to analyze, and the result is a tool that we hope can become essential for those working in the space. Next slide.
Thanks, Rona. So what we have here is how Disinfodex works. It's an independent aggregator of disinformation-related public disclosures from Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Google, and Reddit. We intentionally made the choice to use public disclosures as they provide a rich data set to work with. However, that rich data set has in the past been hard to search. You have sources for disclosures such as Facebook Newsroom and Twitter Policy Blog, where disclosures are in separate files and separate entries that are hard to search, compare, and make sense of. Disinfodex is a big step in being able to search these more easily. And going forward, our aim is to add third-party reports often accompany these disclosures from platforms. Over time, we hope to expand it even further to possibly integrate work from researchers, academics, other companies, governments, NGOs, and journalists. Next slide, please. And this is an excerpt of Disinfodex's timeline showing index disclosures from September 2017 to September 2018, who released them and when. Until now, they have been gathered into one open source database. And one thing we're proud of is that with Disinfodex, users can do a cross-platform analysis of the threats platforms have reported on and the actions they say they took in response. Clem can explain a bit more about how this works. Next slide, please.
Hi, so yes, what you see on this slide is essentially our ugly backend, a spreadsheet, which Ashley will explain in a second how we intend to make it more human-friendly. The content of the spreadsheet is strictly lifted from the kinds of disclosures you see on screen, blogs and press releases for platforms, but then we crawl them, index them, and organize them around the categories you see on the right hand of the slide. So for each of the networks reported on by platforms, you'll see things like disclosure dates, origin country or target country if they are disclosed by the platform, if any specific organization was linked to it, and if there are screenshots or archives of that network, links to those as well. We provide more insights in this category into our white paper, and we hope that these categories will lend themselves to useful analysis from third parties. Next slide. Now, we've been approaching this project from the get-go as a piece of infrastructure for all involved in the ecosystem, journalists, industry, researchers alike. And so hence this beautiful picture of a road. we think of it as something that could be and should be useful to everyone, and that means earning and retaining the trust of all of the ecosystem. And to that end, we are determined to stick to aggregating and organizing these public disclosures and information. We will not be assessing or taking positions about the content that we index or the practices of actors in the ecosystem. Next slide. However, like on any road, there are good considerations to bear in mind and limitations for this project that we wanted to call out. The first one is that platforms are different, and for that reason, they use different language and have different policies about what they take action on, and that makes cross-platform comparisons something to approach with a bit of care. The second point is that even with, if these policies and languages were to be exactly aligned, numbers in this space can be misleading. That's because there might be plenty of good reasons why platform A has more or less actions than platform B on the same network, and numbers in and of themselves don't tell that story. The third one is that we currently do not index third-party reports from open source intelligence and investigation companies. And that's important because a number of platforms work with these companies to complement their own investigation. So it's a part of the picture we're missing. And four, every time we talk about this information, there is a risk of amplifying the perception of the threats that plays into the hand of threat actors. There's not really an excellent way to diffuse that, save from reminding users and readers that the activity we're discussing here is but a sliver of what's going on overall on these platforms and on the internet. If you see something you don't like online, it's more likely to be someone that's a real person that disagrees with you than an information operation. Next slide.
All right, so as Clem mentioned, we really wanted to focus on making our database user-friendly, and we also thought about how can we start to scale it. And so the solution we chose is our backend is a Postgres SQL database, which is just a simple open source database tool. And then our front end is Retool, which we chose because in thinking about how can we eventually connect the database to an API, it was a good solution for that. And then that all sits into an environment that's in Google Cloud. So that's our solution right now. We'll change that as we evolve, but this is where we started for our MVP. Next slide. So this is what it looks like right now. For this first version, we really wanted to focus on making search the most important thing. And so we focused on basically allowing a user to insert any keyword into the database and have it crawl all of the entries and then return those 11 or so fields that Clem mentioned. So right now that works. We'll keep fine tuning it and add more capability as we go. And then the one thing a user can do right now is to export that to a CSV file. So that's what it's looking at right now. Next slide.
Thank you, Ashley. As the team has said, Disinfodex is currently a prototype and we have plans to build upon it. Our immediate aim is to continue adding platform disclosures as they are released and improve our aggregation methods. We are also working on a user interface improvements. The goal is to allow users to generate visualizations and dashboards. The next step is to index also the third-party reports that Clem mentioned. These are the types of the reports which mostly accompany the disclosures from platforms. Finally, we plan to work on integration solutions such as an API. This would make possible for third parties to add content related to their research directly into the database. Next slide, please. So how can you contribute and help? We welcome any feedback from users and thoughts on how we might advance the project. We are also open to working with people who are interested in the project, whether these are volunteering skills, time, advice, or contacts. Finally, we are interested in ideas about groups or organizations to partner in order to expand the project. Our team, next slide, please. Our team can be contacted via email at disinfodex@googlegroups.com, and we intend to communicate updates about the project on the Disinfodex website. Heartfelt thanks to Assembly Disinformation at Berkman Klein Center, to all of our advisors, and to many experts who helped us. Finally, thanks to Hilary and Zenzele for their guidance through the project. We look forward to hearing your thoughts and questions. Thanks for joining me.